Well, hello again, all the boys and girls out there in YouTube land watching. John and Ellie of Georgia Beer Reviews back at you this evening, and we are doing a special examination. We're looking at barrel-aged stouts, or almost barrel-aged stouts, in Bumpy's case. So we'll go ahead and start with you, Bumpy, since you're right next to me. What are you drinking?
All right. So what I have, the homebrew. This one I call Bourbon Road. It's an imperial stout that I soaked in oak spiral. So it was a Char 3 American oak spiral in some maple bourbon. Try to mimic being barrel aged. And then I added that to secondary fermentation, let that rot for like 3 weeks. To soak up the bourbon and get some more of that kind of char and stuff off that oak spiral. It's kind of a cheap way to somewhat make a beer taste like it's been barrel aged as a home brewer. You can't do that as a real brewery because there's liquor laws and that wouldn't be allowed. But yeah, it's 8.5% ABV. This has been keg aging now for about 8 months, so it's got some age to it to mellow out. But yeah, that's what she looks like. Poured it off the tap. So
nice. And I've had that beer. I love it. That's a great beer. Okay, Mr. Kormaroff, what are you drinking this evening?
Okay, from New Holland, Michigan. This is Dragon's Milk. And this is the straight, no variant, just the straight one, 11% alcohol from Holland, Michigan. New Holland is the brewer. And this is bourbon barrel aged. And the company was established in 1997, so 24 years old. And it's a pretty well-established Michigan company. They do have variants of this, which I know John has tried several. And right. I've at least had one other, but this is a pretty good standard. And we'll see how we feel about the mouthfeel, because that's Ron J. Terrio's contention that it's thin. And We'll see. I'll give you my own taking of it. Should I pour mine now?
Yeah, go ahead and pour it up.
Okay.
Get mine ready here.
See what it looks like in the glass. Pretty good looking beer in the glass. Nice head. One finger beige head, I guess you'd say. Dark brown. I will be coming back around. John, what do you got?
All right. Well, I'm going all out tonight. Got the Bourbon County. This is courtesy of Shane Fudge, so thank you very much, Shane. This is a 2020 Bourbon County. This one clocks in at 14.2. All of the other ones that I've had are 14.6, I believe. So this is a slightly different ABV variant. And I have had the 2020 once before in the vertical that, or no, wait. Actually, I think this is my first time drinking the 2020. I've had the 2017, the 2018, and the 2019. So this is a first for me. I think. I don't remember. Yeah, I think I just had the 2017, 18, 19. There's your pour. That's a dang good head right there for a 14.2% beer. Nice 1.5 finger, really tightly knit bubbles, creamy, beige-looking head, jet black appearance. Can't see through that. You can just see the reflection. All right. There's no seeing through that bad boy. All right. We'll get back around to the aromas and the tasting notes really quick. Cheers to Miscellaneous, and Bumpy is also in the chat. All right. So let's go back to Bumpy and let him describe his homebrew bourbon road to us.
All right. So there's no the head retention. I never really built a head. I mean, I did as hard of a pour as I could. This thing just doesn't want to build a head. I haven't looked at my CO2. Hopefully, I'm not out of CO2. It's been a while, but yeah, it's kind of a khaki cocoa colored head. For what there was of it, it's just a thin layer across the top now. This beer it's got some red, like deep blood red hues at the very bottom. It's a very, very dark beer. Stout, Imperial Stout. The aromas, first off, I pick up on the bourbon and the maple. There's chocolate notes in there. I would say mid-range chocolate. A little bit of the oakiness. I think most of that's from the bourbon itself that was used versus a spiral. I'm not a big lover of the spiral. I prefer cubes because you have more of them. So there's just more surface space that gets touched versus a spiral. Spirals are more used for, like, if you open up a bottle, you drop the spiral in to give it like an oakiness as you drink beer. Or you age one spiral within a bottle when you bottle it, and let it sit there for a while. But yeah, it almost has a slight marshmallow type nose as well. Let's say with that kind of maple, bourbon, and chocolate, there seems to be this kind of marshmallowy sweetness as well. A little bit roasty. Let's get into the flavors. Cheers.
Cheers, Jesse.
Cheers, Bumpy.
I'd say full body, smooth mouthfeel. Carbonation level is on the lower end, not even reaching medium. It does have a slight carbonation to it, not flat. There is a mix of those chocolate notes, the roasty toasty, a little bit of like of a coffee bean flavor. I'm getting some darker char type notes. So I would say maybe a little bit of a leather, because it doesn't quite go. It doesn't have like a dark fruit note. This one for me, it kind of goes into like a leather, and that that char note is like lingering along with like the bitterness. This one has like a moderate bitterness to it. It's not super sweet. A little bit of the sweetness up front there with maple and that hint of mild chocolate, but it gets roasty toasty, and then it goes into this char and kind of bitter land. I'd say the bitterness to me is a little bit on the earthy tone side. 8.5% ABV. I mean, I think the flavors, it drinks like it's a higher ABV than what it is, and also I think the body feel on it, where it does kind of have that fuller body and that kind of smoothness to it. I think it drinks like a bigger beer. It feels heavy. It's like Guinness, it's like such a light beer, but it's just so thick that it kind of fools you into thinking it's larger. And I can't say that my registration on the ABV is 100% accurate, because when you add liquor, it's like this strange mathematical thing. You have to know how much you're adding and to volume, and yeah.
Right.
You're making a guess. You're making a guess.
My best, but I mean, yeah, it might be closer to 9% ABV versus 8.5, but it's drinking fine. It's drinking fine. It'll get you through a chillier night if you need.
All right. Well, I loved it. I remember you sent me a couple bottles. That was your best stout. I've had that one, a couple other, the Trish the Dish, and then
Yeah.
well, and then I guess the Telly Porter and the your other your chili or Ghost Smoke Telly Porter. All great beers, by the way, folks. All right, we'll let you keep sipping on it and come back around so you can judge yourself on your home brewing. All right. And we'll let's go to Michael Kormeroff and see how the Dragon's Milk
from New Holland Brewing in Holland, Michigan. Dragon's Milk at 11% alcohol, and if you notice, it did have a one-finger head. Now it's degenerated down to just a slim beige head, but it's still you're able to regenerate the head and nice lacing on the side. And I don't know, higher alcohol beers tend not to have huge heads anyway. I'm impressed with the head on John's because that's even 3% more than this, and his head is still there. But let's get a nose on this. First thing you get is the bourbon. You can get that right in the first smell. You're also getting some oakiness, some roasted malts. And that's about all I'm getting. I'm not getting any dark fruit in this one, at least in the nose anyway. Nor coffee, nor chocolate. But those are the three main things. Let me take a sip. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, Michael.
Wow. So the nose, the taste follows the nose. And you would definitely not call this a heavy-bodied imperial stout. So I wouldn't say it's thin. I guess I want to be as fair to it as I can. It's medium-bodied, but I guess it's medium-bodied toward the light side, if you know what I mean. So it's definitely not full-bodied like Jesse's was. More, it's smooth though, and you can tell that it's well brewed. It's not boozy, and yet you can tell this is not a session beer, and it's not even a mid-range stout. You can tell it's more than that. Maybe it doesn't drink like 11, but it drinks like 9 maybe. It does go down pretty easy, and one like this, you should sip, but it does seem you could drink it faster. It's
right.
You could easily drink this more than some other imperial stouts. The mouthfeel also is medium. Your full taste and your aftertaste is definitely of bourbon, though. And I've had bourbon barrel aged, I've had rum barrel, I've had rye barrel. And bourbon to me is really distinct in its flavor profile. And this one's very good. And I think as this does warm, you'll be able to get more taste profile out of it. But I'll come around with a number after everybody else gives their description.
Okay. All right. So once again, the 2020 Bourbon County Stout, 14.2% variant. Pretty much a jet black appearance. The head has dissipated, but it poured initially with a nice beige head. The aromas with this, as with all the Bourbon Counties that I've had, just absolutely incredible. Getting some dark chocolate right up front. The oak is coming through, some vanilla. Definitely getting that barrel presence right up front. Some dark fruits in there as well. Dates, fig, raisin. I mean, it's all there. Maybe a light tobacco note. Although with this one, maybe because it's a little bit newer release, I'm not getting as much of the tobacco. Some of the older years, I noticed that seemed to be a little bit more prevalent on the nose. Toffee, caramel. I mean, this has got it all. And it really doesn't smell like a 14.2. It's very easy. It's not like burning the nostrils or anything like that. Very pleasant aroma. Just a lot going on. So, all right. I can't wait to get into this. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, John.
Cheers.
Oh, man. Raisins. That's the first thing I'm getting. Raisin. Maybe a little bit of date action in there as well. Dark chocolate. The barrel notes are coming through. You're getting the oak, that woody characteristic of so many good barrel-aged stouts. Vanilla. The thing that I really love about the Bourbon County too, is that you're not getting any of the coffee notes that you get with some of these other stouts. Even if they don't have coffee added, just they've managed to get a great, complex, relatively easy drinking, high alcohol stout without getting that astringency from the roasted malt, that bitterness, that coffee flavor and profile and bitterness, which I'm very pleased with. A little bit of the tobacco coming through on the palate, but it's light. It's not as noticeable as with other years, older bottles. Maybe if you age this for a couple of years, you would get more of that. Slightly warming going down, but it really is super smooth. You could guzzle it if you wanted to. I mean, you wouldn't want to, but it's just so smooth. I'm always at a loss for words. My vocabulary is not extensive enough, I feel, to really do justice to this beer. It's outstanding. I've been drinking a lot of really good bourbon barrel-aged stouts over the last week or so. So anyway, I'll keep thinking or sipping and thinking and come back with a rating here shortly. I know Bumpy's got another show to get to, so I'll go ahead and let him finish up. Final thoughts, ratings, any quick shout-outs if you want, and then you can hop on over to what's the ABV.
What the ABV? Yeah, I mean, I would to agree with Nelly on this is probably one of my best stouts that I've ever made. I do like my Pelly Porters that I make a bit more. There's those just seem to be, I don't know, there's something about them. More of the variants. I like the Vanilla Telly Porter is probably one of my favorites, which John's never had because I haven't been able to make it in the past 2 years because of the vanilla bean shortage. I refuse to use extract vanilla bean, or extract vanilla. So I don't make that one for a while, but that's probably my favorite beer that I make. This one I like that I finally hit something with a full body. I always try to do full bodies on certain styles, and it never seems to get there. This one actually has that kind of viscosity, a mouthfeel. The way that the feel of the mouth on this one with that kind of smooth, that softness, silkiness is nice. I think the lower carbonation is working really well in this. So for the body, I mean, it's great. Flavors, decent flavors. I don't enjoy bitter stouts. This one does have a bitterness to it, but at least it's not to the point where it's super harsh. It's this is almost like a balanced bitter stout. It starts off with a little bit of sweetness, like I said, with a kind of maple coming through nicely. It does have a little bit of a stickiness on the lip with all that. The bourbon obviously is showing up because I use freaking bourbon in it. But I think it's a nice blend of the bourbon that's in there. The maple comes through, and then you get some of the stout notes that were there from the brew with some of that chocolate. I think that the bourbon and stuff is helping out with that chocolate. I think it probably would have been a harsher, darker chocolate note if it didn't have the bourbon in there. I think that kind of that vanilla and stuff that comes through with the bourbon from the barrels adds that kind of bit of sweetness that just kind of makes that chocolate come down a bit more. And then yeah, and it finishes with a lingering bitterness. Still have some of the maple and some of the chocolate notes. A little bit of that roastiness lingers on as well. It's a good drinker. Where am I going to score this one though? I'll give it a 94 out of 100. I mean, it's not a barrel aged stout like you get from the folks that do actual barrel aging. So it's a cheap way of doing it. It kind of has a nuance of it. You're getting some of the same characters, but it is missing out on it. I think a bit of that woodiness, the oak and stuff, really doesn't come through as much in the flavors in this. I think if I did barrel age it, it would have been stellar. Properly. But yeah, for what it is, for Skin by 94 out of 100. Shout outs. After Dark Beers, Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my channel. Bring a dark, it can be a stout porter, any dark beer. Just don't bring a light lager, please, because you won't be making it in the show. After that, we got multi. The poll has finally revealed what the next Multi Monday is going to be, and that is chili beer. So what a chili beer is it's any beer style that has hot peppers added to it, whether it be in the brew, whether it's like dry hopped or whatever with hot peppers, but it has hot peppers in it. So mole stouts, those special Mexican hot chocolate style stouts, they put chili peppers or chili pepper in those. Lagers that have chili peppers, jalapenos, whatever. IPAs, had a great IPA with habanero peppers in it before. So there's just cream meals. I mean, there's such a wide variety of beer styles. Just look for that hot pepper in that beer.
Does chiladas count with that? Like
chiladas count as long as it's made by the brewery. Don't do like what I do and buy the regular one and then add your own hot sauces.
And then add your own hot sauce.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, if you get like the Fiero or the it's called the car.
Fuego, yeah. I was just thinking last day because Multi Monday, like that would be a last minute if I couldn't find like if I didn't have time to go into Peachtree City or something, I could just stop at pretty much any gas station and get a chili infused chilada. So
yeah, so that would count. So yeah, hopefully I'll see some folks there, and for Multi Monday, just act like a normal rational human being.
Say hello to the What's the ABV crowd from us too. Tell them we're still going on with this, but tell them to have a good time.
I gotta bounce. Thanks for allowing me on with my hybrid.
Absolutely. All right, Bumpy. Enjoy it.
Guys.
Go kick some ass over there.
Oh yeah.
All right. So 94 for his homebrew. I really liked it. I think I gave it a 97 or 98 when the sample he sent me. But yeah, he's critical of himself, but he can brew some great beers.
Sometimes you find Brian, who brews his own beers too, not to really want to rate his beers as high as he would like, because he doesn't want people to think that he's being over aggressive in his rating.
Right.
But from what I understand from people who've tried his beers, he's very good too. So.
Oh, Miscellaneous is in the chat. He says he doesn't think the show is going to happen. He was saying earlier that he was just waiting and he was stuck in the basement. I don't know. I'm sure y'all will find something to do if the show doesn't happen. And Paul was talking about, Paul's a home brewer as well up there in Canada, talking about excess bitterness. Yeah, a lot of times you get bitterness just the roasted malt, not from the hops, just from the darkness or the robustness, I guess, of the dark roasted barley malt.
Right, and you can get that coffee kind of flavor you were talking about from the roasted
Right,
malt.
which that's why I think it's so impressive. The Bourbon County, the straight Bourbon County line. I never pick up on coffee. You get the dark chocolate, you get the bourbon barrel, the dark fruits, the the complexity and everything of the malt without that coffee, that acrid note that you get a lot of times from the roasted malt. So yeah, this one. So 2020. My only complaint really is that it's too new. Like I feel like if it was aged or cellared for a year or two, the tobacco notes would come through a little bit more. The dark fruit notes would probably pop a little bit more. The barrel notes or the burn, the alcohol burn on the finish, although not bad, I feel like it would mellow that out a little bit. So, I mean, of course, an excellent world-class product, as always, from Goose Island. But I feel like if I was drinking this in 2022 or 2023, it would be a lot better. Yeah, as it warms too, a little bit more of the dark chocolate notes are coming through, and the barrel notes have intensified slightly, including the warming effect going down the throat. And I don't recall that with some of the other bourbon. I truly think that it's because this is a newer bottle, and I feel like a little bit of age would do wonders for this beer. But that does not take away. I mean, I'm not complaining at all. This is just an outstanding beer. I'm always pleased with the Bourbon County stuff. Thanks again to Shane Fudge for giving me this one. I got a 2019 in the fridge as well, so I'll save that for another examination or Stout Sunday, or those are beers you don't just want to drink and do a review by yourself. You want to drink them with friends and have a discussion on them just because they're so damn good.
I think I have a 16, a 17, and an 18, so maybe we'll have to do your 19 with one of mine and try to compare if there's any intricacies that are similar or different, because mine would be aged a little bit more. Yours would still have a year under its belt, so it would be effective in that way. I was going to do the one with Miscellaneous and Josh, and then we couldn't arrange a day to do it, so it never happened.
Yeah. I have also, I don't know if you've watched any yet, but I met up with Shane Fudge and got to drink a lot of great beers. He sent me home with some as well, including a 2020 BDCS, which I know you've had. I don't know if it was the 20. You've had 2018, 2019.
Right. I had the one that Jeremy sent me.
Right.
It was from
Ozark. Ozark Beer Company, the BDCS Bourbon Double Cream Stout. That was amazing. I also got to try the Matter Familias from Mothers. I don't know if you got that one as well.
I think he sent me one of those too. I had both of them. Jeremy sent me some really good stuff, considering I didn't realize that Arkansas and Missouri were making stouts like that at the time. But I tried both of them. Both were excellent.
Yeah.
And that's it. You remember Jeremy really liked the one from Stillwater that I also sent you, which wasn't barrel aged, but it was 13%.
Absolutely. Stillwater on fleek. Probably the best straight stout that I have ever had, at least as far as what I can recall. And it drank like a 7 or 8%, not like a 13%. It was
Stillwater does a nice job. They're another gypsy brewer, but they have a brewery in Baltimore. All right, as I sip on this Dragon's Milk, I'm getting more of the barrel and more of the bourbon effect. But I guess in some ways I do agree with Jay, because I would like it to be more full. In other words, to be more substantial. I'm taking off a couple of points for that
lack of body.
Lack of being full bodied. But again, I guess what they would say is it's only 11%. Yours is 14.2. So
Only
maybe
11, yeah.
in comparison, 11%
Right.
kind of thing. But I'm not saying it's bad. It's good. It's just in order for this to be world class, top end stuff where we'd be getting into the 99s, the 98s, I'm going to give it a 96, which I still think is a fair rating because I do think it's a well brewed beer, and you can't complain about it just shows you how spoiled you get because you try different stuff that's better, and you say, 96. It's an A, a solid A, but it's still not up. It's not into the urban counties. I don't think it's as good as the 6 point, the top level 6 point stuff.
Oh, the master blend stuff. Yeah.
Master blend and that kind of thing. It may not be as good as the two we're talking about, Jeremy and Shane, with the BCBS. What were there? Two different ones. The
Matter Familiars, that's Mother's, and then Ozark Beer Company is the BDCS.
Right. So those were both higher than 96 to me. I think I gave one a 97 and the other a 98. So those were amazing.
Yeah, I think 99 is across the board for those two for me. And then actually, I believe the Matter Familiars 2019. I believe I gave that one 100. But anyway,
okay.
You're looking at 99, 100. I mean, you're talking world class, like little, if you're gonna make any kind of complaint, it's gonna be a nitpicky, like non-critical.
And we're not even talking about the founders. Your CBS, your KBS, and your different. Those could be 98 and 99. Also.
Those were, yeah. Now the 2015 KBS, I think I gave that 100. The 2016 Backwoods Bastard was a 99. I mean, if people are just now starting to watch my channel, they're going to see the last week and a half of videos. Like, this guy just rates everything 99, 98, 99, 100. But I mean, I've just been lucky to run across, some great stuff lately, some really world-class beers. And like I said, Shane Fudge, that was really cool of him to just let me get some of his cellared beers and bring them home. He was like, yeah, I've got 20 of these 2015. He's like, go ahead and take one, review it on your channel.
When you first sent me the picture of the beers that you had done together, I assumed you had gone to Arkansas to visit him, and I sent that to Jeremy, and he said, if John sets foot in the state of Arkansas without coming to see me, he must have gone and met him in Nashville. So actually, Jeremy knew, and I didn't know. And then I saw you when you started your reviews. I saw where you were.
It was just spur of the moment. He basically contacted me and said, I'm going to be in town. Or I'm going to be in Nashville this weekend for a concert, and if you want to hang out, let me know. And I it's like a 5-hour drive up there. I was like, yeah, I don't want to miss out on this. Plus, I knew he was going to bring some really good beer, and I brought some stuff from Georgia. We had a great beer share, and just
no, it's good.
It was.
But if you ever go to Arkansas, you have to visit Jeremy too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, I will.
I mean, he still lives a couple of hours away from Shane, but they're still both in a circle around Little Rock. They're still close enough. If you went to one, you could go to both.
Right. So we got a question in the chat here. This is Paul again. You're a home brewer, Paul. You should already know all these answers. Well, personally, I mean, there's really no right or wrong answer. People will argue one way or the other, but my personal preference is to take it out of the fridge about 10 to 15 minutes before I start drinking something of this caliber, really high alcohol barrel-aged stout. And then, it's going to take you half an hour to an hour to drink it if you're doing it right, because you really want to enjoy all the little nuances and kind of let it warm up a little bit. So I like drinking it, about 10 minutes out of the fridge, and then over the course of that half hour to an hour, just kind of let it warm up. That way you get a little bit of everything. You get more of the notes from when it's a little bit colder, and then as it warms up and develops, you kind of get the best of everything. That's the way I see it.
I'm pretty much the same way. I usually chill all my beers first, but then with the stout, I will take it out for a little while before and let it get closer to room temperature. Even though when I start, it's always still cold.
But
No,
I
it's not.
never, yeah, I never start with a heavy hitter like this at room temperature. I do like it at least slightly chilled to start with. Just I don't know. I just can't start with a room temperature beer. I've got to let it get there, after sitting out for a little while.
Like I've been sipping. You see what I have left in mine. I'm
Yeah.
down. It's maybe an ounce and a half, but I'm going to keep sipping on it. You have a little bit more, but you started with 16.9 ounces.
Well,
and
if I could, I'm just really babying this because it's such a treat for me to get a Bourbon County. I just poured the rest in there, as you can see. Nice little head
I'm
formation.
amazed that you can get that kind of head from a 14.2%.
I noticed that I think it's because it's a little bit newer. Some of the older variants that I've had, they don't have this kind of head. So I think it's maybe an age-related thing because it's less than a year old. But I haven't actually given a rating yet. I'm going to be really really critical of this since I've had so many great beers recently. I'm going to say it's world class, but I'm going to give it on the low end. I'm going to say 98. And the only reason that I'm deducting 2 points is because I've had the older variants, the aged versions of this, and I feel like it develops in the bottle for years and years. And I feel like it's lacking a little bit of the tobacco. I feel like the dark fruit would develop a little bit more as it ages. Maybe the alcohol burn would mellow out a little bit with age. So I know it would probably be a little bit better with a few years age on it, but it's I mean, you can't go wrong. So yeah, 98 out of 100, definitely in that world-class range. This is the first one I've had from 2020, and it's the only one. Like all the other straight variants are 14.6 or 14.7. I can't remember. It's either 14.6 or 14.7. So this is the first one I've had at this particular ABV point. And I know they also make, I don't know about the 2020, but I know some of the older years, the 2018 and the 2019, they have a 15.2% variant, which I've never seen, but I have watched reviews of that particular variant online. So it does exist, but it's like a needle in a haystack.
Were you ever able to find more of the ones from Lithuania?
Not yet, but I haven't been to Atlanta. I would have to go back to a Super H Mart, which is the big Asian marketplace, and the closest one is right past the airport. So I would have to make a special trip out there for it. But I'll definitely
about an hour drive kind of thing, which is a long.
Yeah, it would be like a weekend trip where I go like to that place and then hit up like Trader Joe's or something to get, because I know I could get some really great stuff from Trader Joe's. I still haven't tried the Bosun double chocolate. And then of course I'm always on the lookout for the Unibrew stuff that they make, the bomber bottles. They've always got really cool limited release stuff for like $5.
Let me show you the one that I got. I'll be right back.
Okay. Absolutely outstanding, folks. Bourbon County, you just can't go wrong. I really love to get my hands on the that 15.2, one of the older years, or the I don't know if they made it in 2020, but I think 2018, 2019 they had an Old Forester aged, like double oak aged Bourbon County. I've never seen that.
When you used to go there?
That was one that I have seen before, but it's been years.
Both sides, two different faces. You turn it over.
It's a pretty girl or an ugly old man, or
whatever. And this is advertised as a premium lager, and as I remember, it's really charged up. In other words, this is like you take a lager and you must do some special, I don't know if it's aging or whatever they do, and it's intense and strange, but somehow there's something good about it. I don't know. It's hard to describe. If you told me that a 12,
I've had a couple from them that were really good, like the Lobster Lovers one. The first time I tried the before and after, I'm pretty sure that one was a drain pour. But you've told me that you've had some that it's almost like they've been spoiled. Like some of them are really good. So
they're not consistent in the way they're handled, is what I'm suspecting, because we buy this stuff from the same store, and you'll come one to beer tasting, and I'll bring one, and it'll be not good. Next week, somebody else brings the same thing, and it's good. Now, how do you figure?
Right. In my mind, the way that I imagine it is like, because it's coming from so far away. I mean, Lithuania, my goodness. I just imagine like this big cargo ship out in the middle of, and the elements are,
Right.
it's not as controlled of an environment as you might like. So
you get some good stuff and some bad stuff, but they have some 15 and 16% stuff, which you shouldn't have been able to get in Georgia, which I guess they didn't know how to read the language. So
they got away with it for at least a year when I first, but yeah, I mean, probably a lot longer than that. And they've got, like 16, 17, 18% beers, like styles that don't really actually exist, like an imperial, a 17% imperial pilsner, or like crate,
there's just no such thing.
Right.
Well, in Lithuania, they make it up like it is, but it's really not what they say it is. Whatever. I actually thought this was a fairly fair price for this. I paid $3.35 for it. It's again 16.9 ounce of 12%. Now, it's not going to knock anybody's socks off, but at least it's going to be different, is how I look at it. And I don't even know. Sometimes I don't want to do it at beer tasting because we've reached such a high level now on some of this stuff that I'm afraid it's going to be a downer.
You're going to just ruin everybody's night.
Just gonna go, what's he doing? What's he bringing this stuff? Now, the beer that I use from yours, from, what was it, Third Street Brewing?
The Cherry Street Coconut Porter.
Cherry Street. Okay, that finished 8th out of 13, so that
was bad. I mean, for a lighter, a porter, it's hard for something like that to go up against these double IPAs and these barrel-aged stouts. You're not going to place.
You saw the top end. The top end was just like destruction. One beer from a pastry stout that averaged 9.25, and the one that I brought back from Bond Brothers, which averaged almost 9. So those top end stuff, you can't beat them with just regular beer. It just won't work, and that's it. And really good double IPAs too, which like of the style from Trillium and Treehouse, even though they were in North Carolina or other companies. It just shows you there's such a wide range now of all those styles, and so I try now not to even, delve into the area of weird stuff if I can help it. But somehow, this is going to be used for something. Maybe at the beach club. It's a little bit more low key at the beach club than the formal one that I do at my house on Thursday night.
Have you ever had the Lobster Lovers one?
No, I've never seen that one. But that was, like you said, only 8%. So
it's actually 9% or 9.5%. Yeah.
They don't handle anything less than the 12 in the store where I got it. It's all the monster stuff. This is the smallest, and then they got 15 and 16. Other ones that I mentioned to you, which sometimes are good, sometimes they're not so good. It varies a lot. Bryce went shopping today for me at the co-op, and I usually get these mystery packs. So today, for the first time, she brought me their mystery can pack. Let me show you what I got.
Okay.
It's almost like it's mostly an IPA assortment, and I guess that's a seasonal thing because we're getting into the summer. But I actually thought it was a pretty good representation in what I could have expected from that, in Hawaii, golden, big wave golden ale.
Oh, the Kona. Kona Brewery. Okay.
2 of those. Dogfish Head Sequence Ale, which is their sour.
Right, that's the one Bumpy was drinking when he came in before we got started.
I got 2 of those. 2 of the 60-minute IPA, which is their original, the first flagship that they had. 2 of the Lagunitas Super Cluster, which I think is an 8%.
That's a good one. If you haven't, that's a really good beer. Yeah.
And then 2 of the regular Lagunitas, which is regular IPA, and the last one I haven't heard of, but it's from Vermont. It's called Otter Creek, and it's called Daily Dose IPA. So all six of these, I got 2 each, and this whole it's like 90 cents a can, so you can't go wrong.
Yeah, I mean that's a great deal.
12 pack for less than $11.
Right, and you're looking at really good, well-established brands and higher ABV, so you're getting more bang for your buck. I mean, you can't beat 90 cents a beer.
But you have to buy 12, and they're mystery, so you don't know what you're going to get. And I've even told you there are times when I open it up that I'm a little bit sad because there's stuff that I don't like, but it's still worth what I'm paying for, so I can't really complain.
It comes out in the wash because you still have more beer, like you're still getting your money's worth because every once in a while you get a beer or two that you're not really fond of, but the other good beers in the variety pack kind of make up for the few.
And the Flying Dog Porter in the last one came in last, and it was one that in the past had done well. Let's see what you may have even had it. Let's see, what was it? Flying Dog Gonzo. It's a 10% porter from Flying. Maybe you've never had Flying Dog stuff. That's from
I've never seen Flying Dog down here.
Anyway, in the past, I've had good bottles of it. Now, maybe, like you say, some of this stuff doesn't do as well in transit and doesn't, sits on the shelf too long and whatever, and it just doesn't do as well. So that kind of thing. And that's it. But something like this, and I did not go on Eric's thing tonight because we were entertaining my daughter and our fiance, so we were eating during the time. We had a refrigerator malfunction with our main refrigerator today. So fortunately, I have 2 beer refrigerators downstairs, so now they're full of food because the freezer's working upstairs, but the main refrigerator isn't. So we're going to have to get somebody to come in and take a look at it tomorrow and see if they can fix it. But it's nice having a couple of backup refrigerators. You can put your food in if you have a disaster. And it was hot enough today here, close to 90. So stuff will go bad if it's not refrigerated, kind of thing.
Right.
So that's it. Are you going to do Stout Sunday, do you think, on Sunday?
Yeah, things should be back to normal this weekend. I was planning on doing it last weekend, but then Shane contacted me. It was kind of last minute, but yeah, I should be. Everything should be back to normal this Sunday, 10:30 Eastern.
Jay's going to come on, and Drunken One is going to come on.
Yes, and then we've got Mr. Shane Fudge.
And
He
Shane
might join us as well. I'm drinking. If you're just joining, I'm drinking the 2020 Bourbon County that you sent me.
I'll definitely be on. I'll be on Sunday too. And it just means we go to the beach club a little bit later, but at this point, it really doesn't make that much difference anyway.
Right.
So, do you want to wrap things up? I mean,
yeah.
It's been a good examination. It was good seeing Jesse before too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been and I haven't seen you in probably 2 or 3 weeks because I hadn't been doing the Stout Sunday. I haven't been able to join on the theme shows, so always enjoy hanging out with you and drinking some awesome craft beer. So yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to Mike Kormoff and Bumpy Road for joining me. Great beers today. World class for the Bourbon County. Solid A for the Dragon's Milk, and then Bumpy's Homebrew was also in the A range. So I would say that was a successful examination. Hope you all have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your week. And we'll see you all hopefully on Stout Sunday, 10:30 Eastern on Georgia Beer Reviews. So
cheers, everybody.
Until then, cheers, everybody.